Okay, WWE TLC 2019. Just finished watching this about 15 or so minutes ago. Had to set things up. Uh, Kind of a weird show overall. Not really any build until the week before. I guess this is what they think is going to generate interest as to what people not knowing what matches there are going to be on the show, but it really didn't for me at all. I mean, most of them were kind of telegraphed early on, but anyway. We did have a kickoff show match. This was not announced until, well, just today. It was Andrade versus Humberto Carrillo. This is a rematch from last week's Raw, and they're already teasing the idea of breaking up Andrade and Zelina Vega. Basically what happened on Raw is Carrillo won with a roll-up after Andrade accidentally struck Zelina off of the apron. And in this case, this was a really good match, like especially for the kickoff show. There was a lot of high-flying action in it. Early on, Carrillo did a springboard arm drag, and then Andrade, he tried to do another top rope move, but Andrade pushed him off the top turnbuckle. Andrade did the triangle choke over the top rope. Carrillo eventually fought back. He had a jawbreaker. He dodged the charging knees and flipped Andrade out of the ring. And then Andrade reversed a standing moonsault into basically a roll-up that sent Carrillo headfirst into the turnbuckle. Carrillo came back, and hit a corkscrew plancha. And for the first of a few times tonight, someone was cut. Hardway blood was drawn, and it was Andrade. Andrade hit a double stomp on the apron, and basically the ending of the match was, again, they sort of did what they did on Raw, except in this case Andrade cut himself off from almost hitting Zelina. Then when Carrillo went for the roll-up, he countered it. Andrade countered that into a pin, but Carrillo popped out of it and then came back and hit a poison rana from the second rope, and followed the moonsault for the 3 count and the victory. And then after that, again, further dissension between Andrade and Zelina. She was in there trying to comfort him, but he basically said, "I don't want anything to do with you right now," and walked off. Like I said, especially for the kickoff show, this was a really good match, really entertaining. I was hoping this would start things off right, but I guess we'll see when we go on through this. Okay, moving on to the show proper. To start things off, we had the ladder match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, The New Day versus The Revival. Early on, Kofi hit kind of a leapfrog senton. He basically leapfrogged over Big E and landed a senton splash on Wilder. Kofi slammed Wilder off the ladder. The Revival hit a double drop kick on Kofi and then slammed a ladder off of him. Kofi hit a springboard axe handle onto a ladder, and that kind of seesawed it right back up into the Revival's faces. Dawson hit a missile drop kick on a ladder on Big E while he was climbing it. Kofi fought out of a back suplex and seesawed a ladder into the Revival again. The Revival hit the Shadow Machine off the ladder on, I believe it was Kofi. Big E speared Wilder through the ropes. Big E tried to climb the ladder, but he set up 2 more ladders in the ring and then tried to do a top rope splash onto a ladder through the ladder onto Dawson, but Dawson rolled out of the way, and then they back suplexed Big E on the ladder, and Wilder followed with a splash. Then as this was happening, though, Kofi fought back. He got back in the ring. He leapt over the top of Dash Wilder to start climbing. He got into a fight with Dawson. They were fighting, and it looked like they tangled Kofi up in the ladder rungs. But then Big E interfered, and he got a big ending off the ladder on Wilder. And then Kofi, while he was fighting for, he managed to grab the I forget what it was called. It was holding the championship belts up in the air, and he caught Dawson with it and knocked him off a ladder onto another ladder, and then enabled Kofi to take down the championships and the New Day to retain. Again, really good match to start things off. Definitely things were starting to look good at this point. Definitely didn't know what was going to happen and who was going to be in the match, or who was going to win. I mean, it looked on several occasions like the Revival actually had their hands right on the championships and could have easily pulled it down. So, yeah, this was a really, really well done match. Okay, our third match of the night is Buddy Murphy versus Alistair Black. As Murphy is waiting for Alistair's entrance to begin, he did the meditation pose in the middle of the ring. This led to both men doing the meditation pose against each other. Murphy, right off the bat, avoided a black mass right after the ring bell. Murphy came back, he had a big knee to the jaw. Alistair Black went for a running knee. Murphy tripped him. Alistair caught the ring post and broke his nose, so we have blood again. And a lot of blood in this case, because it also slammed his face off the ring steps, and he began bleeding from his ear as well around this time. Black hit a leg sweep on the ring apron. Murphy tripped Black in the post, like I said. Black got busted open. Eventually, Alistair Black rallied his series of kicks. Murphy came back, he has a series of kicks of his own, a lot of it to the injured jaw as they were selling it in the storyline. Black hit his spinning knee and then followed that with a moonsault. Murphy hit basically his cradle super kick. He hit 3 cradle super kicks to Black. He hit a top rope power bomb. Caught Black again with a super kick. Went for a jumping knee. Black dodged it and hit the Black Mass for the 3 count in the victory. Not quite the show-stealing match that everyone said it was going to be, but still really entertaining. Again, things were really looking up. So again, really well done to start things off here. Just wait. And we now hit the first kind of misstep of the night. The Viking Raiders open challenge for the Raw Tag Team Championships. No real shock here. It turns out it's Gallows and Anderson, the OC, and they had a unique argument for this, which was, we beat you to win the World Cup, so that's why we're challenging you, because we know we can beat you, but you're getting the added bonus of trying to avenge your only loss. Okay. And also there was this weird tie-in thing where they decided, it's like, boy, this was so cheap. I mean, this was really bad, because they have the special KFC dinner at ringside for several fans in the audience who are all enjoying the great KFC food. And the way it's positioned is like, this is situated right in the spot where everyone knows that someone's going to hit that thing and wind up with KFC all over them. And right off the bat, Anderson tried to do a leapfrog over Eric, but tripped in the process, and that kind of just got it really bad, not in a good way, unfortunately, and that started this match off on the wrong foot. Gallows lured Eric to the outside and hit him with a super kick, and then just as it looked like everything was getting into a really even match, how this was really building up, my stream went down. This happened a couple of times. Thankfully, only a couple of times. It didn't get too chronic, but unfortunately, it resulted in me. It used to be whenever that would happen, I could, back out, log back into WWE Network and pick up where I left off. But for some reason, you can't do that anymore. They just start you at the beginning of the show. So I had to fast forward and try to figure out what was all in there, and I probably missed a chunk of the match. But again, it looked like things were starting to hit back up. The Raiders hit the Viking experience on Anderson. Gallows broke up the pin, and then both teams brawled to the outside of the ring. He had a couple of big moves. They were knocked out, and then they were double counted out. So, yeah, great. Was, again, looking like starting to build a good match, and then ends on a double count out, which is just disappointing, especially on a pay-per-view. And eventually Anderson got powerbombed through the KFC table. So that's what happened there. First it looked like they were going to do the Viking experience, but no, they did they just did a power bomb, which, yeah. Okay, it's now time for our first TLC match of the evening: Roman Reigns versus King Corbin. Again, my stream kind of went down during the intro, so I don't know exactly everything that happened in it, but Corbin, of course, sends his the people who carry his throne after Reigns. They get tossed around. One of them got sent through a table. Corbin that managed to get the jump on Reigns, got him back into the ring and hit a deep six. Then the two brawled out in the crowd for a while, and unfortunately, this is where things really fell apart because again, in a TLC match, you should be setting up chairs. You should be grabbing chairs, using those as weapons, setting up tables, getting the ladders ready, using that as a weapon. Instead, it was these two guys brawling through the crowd, brawling a little bit in the ring, brawling a little bit outside the ring. Again, brawling and then not using any weapons at all. And then eventually the weapons got involved. Corbin grabbed a ladder and caught Reigns in the ribs. They fought with the chairs for a bit. Corbin countered a Superman punch with a choke slam, backbreaker. Reigns countered. Corbin set up a chair in the corner, but Reigns countered, basically being thrown into it with a Superman punch. Corbin eventually sucker punched Reigns with a can of dog food that he had gotten out from under the ring. Because, yeah, that was a thing that happened. Dog food is now a prop in this. Just when it looks like Reigns was starting to come back, Ziggler comes in and super kicks Reigns. Corbin and Ziggler double team. The Revival eventually get involved, and basically they just beat down Reigns to pin him for the 3 count. Again, one, this match was boring, and two, you couldn't have the New Day come out and at least try to fight on Reigns' behalf. Seriously, it's like it turns into 4-on-1, and it looks stupid, and it doesn't do anything to build up Reigns at all. I mean, the prevailing rumor is right now that Reigns is going to face Bray Wyatt probably at WrestleMania, or at least for the Universal Championship, and right now you've made him look really not convincing in any way, shape, or form. It just, again, this is where things really did start to grind down. Okay, our next match is Bray Wyatt versus The Miz. Now, this is not for the Universal Championship, even though they held up the Universal Championship like it was on the line. And it's not The Fiend, but just Bray Wyatt, basically doing his children's show host shtick. Wyatt wants to play, The Miz wants to fight. Miz just landed a series of kicks, tossed Wyatt around. Wyatt kind of started to come back a little bit, went for the Sister Abigail, but Miz countered to that, hit the skull crushing finale, but Wyatt kind of no-sold it and just laughed and laughed and laughed. And Miz slammed his head off the mat and wrenched Wyatt's shoulder, and that caused him to snap a little bit. He fought back a little bit more. They they brawled to the outside of the ring. Wyatt hit a Sister Abigail off the Timekeeper's barricade. He then got The Miz back in the ring, hit a second Sister Abigail for the 3 count of the victory. Shortly after that, The Fiend appeared on the jumbo screen. Wyatt looked and was pleased and looked at it and was taking advice from The Fiend, though you didn't hear anything when this happened. He got the comically oversized mallet that looks like it's made out of cardboard out from under the ring, and he moved to start hitting The Miz with it, but suddenly, out of nowhere, this music changed, and Wyatt started going, "He's here, he's here, he's here." And at that point, Daniel Bryan hit the ring and hit the flying knee on Bray Wyatt. Daniel Bryan has shaved his head. His beard is shaved. It's not completely gone. He's, I'd say, kind of right around, everyone's referring to the American Dragon, which was his initial gimmick on the independent scene, but in this case it was it's kind of like that. I would say if I could make a WWE analogy, I think it was right around the time he'd won the Money in the Bank briefcase. Like when he first won that, and he hadn't completely grown his beard out full. But then the lights go out and Bray vanished. But he left the Universal Championship in the ring. I don't think anyone noticed that. Oh boy. So, yeah, not really much to say about this match. I kind of wish they could have done more with this. They really should have. Like, I don't know what angle they were trying to build to this at all. I mean, if they were building a Daniel Bryan returning, why not just have Daniel Bryan return? It didn't really do much of anything. Okay, and that leads us into Rusev versus Bobby Lashley in a tables match. I don't think they announced this was a tables match until the show proper. Like, I think they announced it on the kickoff show. I know they didn't announce it when they made the match initially, but okay. Anyway, also, is Lana still storyline Russian? Like, I know the real CJ Perry isn't Russian, she's from Florida, but she seems to have lost her accent. Like I said, anyway, sorry, I'm tired. Rusev jumps Lashley, tried to grab a table. Lana pulled the table away before anything could happen. Lashley gained the upper hand. He hit a gut wrench slam. Rusev suplexed Lashley on the ramp. At one point, Lashley got the bright idea to set Rusev up against the ring post and then grab a table and throw it at him. I don't know if that would count as him winning the match if that happened, but okay, it was at least something. They fought for a bit more. At one point, both men Lashley got a kendo stick out from under the ring, beat Rusev with it. Rusev got it back, beat Lashley with it. Eventually, Lashley had set up two tables in both corners of the ring. Kept trying, and both men avoided being sent through the table. Just when it looked like Rusev might have something going, Lana jumped on his back, distracted, and then enabled Lashley to spear Rusev into one table, though not through it, and then he slammed Rusev through the other table. I guess it's not entirely surprising that Lashley won this, because I do think this helped build him up more as a heel, but at the same time, this you wondered, like, this was the semi-main for the show, and it really did not generate much excitement at all. It was pretty boring, unfortunately, too. Like, this is, like I said, we started off with this big high note, and now we're kind of going down quite a bit. I mean, I would maybe perk it up a little bit for The Miz and Bray Wyatt, but yeah, this match really didn't do much at all. And that leads us to our main event of the evening, our second TLC match for the Women's Tag Team Championships, the Kabuki Warriors versus Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. They did bring up how Asuka last year beat Charlotte and Becky for the championship in a ladder match. They conveniently forgot to mention Ronda Rousey's interference in the match, but okay, that might be a little bit that might be a little too idiosyncratic. Becky early on tossed Asuka into a big stack. Outside the ring they had a stack of table, and then they had a table, and then on top of the table they had a stack of chairs, and Becky tossed Asuka into that stack of chairs. Charlotte kicked Sane off the apron with a big boot. Asuka knocked Becky into a ladder with a hip attack. The Kabukis drop kicked a chair into Charlotte's face. Becky and Charlotte powerbombed Asuka into the ring post. Sorry. Sane kind of got angry and started trying to throw chairs in the ring. I don't know if this was planned this way or not. She was grabbing chairs from out from under the ring and she was trying to throw them into the ring, but they were hitting the ring ropes. Like, she couldn't quite get the arc to get, or couldn't quite get the angle. They were hitting the ring ropes and flying back, and the announcers seemed quite displeased. Like, even the heel announcers, like, Stop doing that. You're almost hitting us, because that's how far these things were flying. Anyway, eventually she grabbed a fire extinguisher and sprayed Becky in the face with it, and Asuka came back with a rope and they tied Becky Lynch to a ladder. Charlotte kept the Kabukis from going up and grabbing the championships. Sane tried to go for an insane elbow on Becky, but Becky had loosened herself up enough that she could lift her leg up to block it with a boot. Becky eventually freed herself. Again, lots of fighting on this. Becky hit a guillotine leg drop through a table on Asuka. Sane hit the insane elbow off the apron. She had set both Becky and Charlotte on the table. Charlotte just managed to roll out of the way, but Becky took the full brunt of it. Let's see. Charlotte powerbombed Sane through a table on the outside of the ring. Asuka got up and hit a German suplex on Charlotte. Asuka powerbombed Charlotte off the turnbuckle through a table. As this was happening, Becky had revived again. She was climbing the ladder, but there was the ladder that still had the piece of rope attached to it. So Asuka managed to pull the rope hard enough to topple the ladder, and that enabled her to eventually climb and get both championships to retain. We didn't linger too much on that, though, unfortunately, because we then cut to this brawl. Just before the match had started, they did this backstage segment with the Street Profits that got tangled, and they got tangled up with this big brawl. It was Corbin, it was Reigns, it was the OC, the Viking Raiders, the Revival, the New Day, and again, this brawl just spilled out to the outside. Reigns speared Corbin off of something, I can't remember, on to everyone else, and then that's how the show ended. Or at least that's how it ended for me. I don't know if it went on anymore. Although Renee Young did tweet the two were still fighting, so I guess. Overall, like I said, the show started off really high, and then kind of went down, and then kind of popped up a couple of times. Like the last match, the main event, was really good. Unfortunately, I wish we had gotten to kind of dwell more on it instead of immediately cutting to this stupid brawl, which doesn't make me excited for anything. So yeah, unfortunately, again, like everything they did, they completely just neutered it. So again, I maybe start building these things up and promoting them. So yeah, just really, like I said, kind of disappointing overall. Not terrible, not horrendous, but I am going to be giving TLC 2019 a C. Okay, so next video after this is going to be the Rise of Skywalker review. Then it will be the Spies in Disguise review, and then we're going to have the next Random Trade review, which is on The Flash, Blood Will Run. Wrestling-wise, this is where things get weird. I'm going to have to get my schedule here again, sorry. Okay, so the next, I guess, big show is going to be the NXT UK TakeOver, which is it's being held on January 12th. I'm probably not going to get to that on the day it airs because it's in the middle of playoff football, sorry. Hopefully it will be, I don't know. After that we have the Royal Rumble weekend, and now they're not doing a TakeOver Royal Rumble weekend. They are doing a TakeOver later, and they are going to do a WrestleMania weekend, so I guess my worries in the previous TakeOver review were a little assuaged, I guess, at least for now. They are doing the NXT Worlds Collide show on the 25th. I know what the Worlds Collide thing is. I think it's just a crossover between NXT and NXT UK again. I guess it's a tournament too, to see who gets to go after a championship of their choosing. The Royal Rumble is on the 26th, like I said, and then the next NXT TakeOver is NXT TakeOver Portland, and that's on Sunday, February 16th. Yeah, they're looking to do them on Sundays now to see if that will help pique interest. I do kind of like they're sort of foregoing the February pay-per-view for the main roster and doing an NXT exclusive show. So again, hopefully that should help perk up some of the doldrums between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. So yeah, I guess all that's shaken out now. So at least we have some things to look forward to. See you all next time. Guys, are you tired of me constantly talking only about WWE and NXT? Want to see me expand my wrestling coverage? Check out my Patreon at Sleepy Time for Cat Productions. Also, remember, if you like the video, give it a like, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.